So if you oil paint and say you got a blue sky and then you try and put a dark tree over it and this happens, then you're gonna really like this video. All right, welcome to Paint Coach. If you're new to the channel, my name is Chris Fornatero and I help thousands of students every single month get better at oil painting through my online courses and tutorials. Now today I'm gonna be talking about probably the thing that comes up the most, the question I get the most in the comments section of my videos from students, and that is like, oh, like I can't get the paint to do what I want it to do. It gets muddy, or I try and put something on top of another color and it doesn't work. So I'm going to give you some tips to help you with that. I'm going to show you how to do this without using any medium. I'm going to keep it super simple. I found that with beginners, it's helpful to get them going without using any medium. And a lot of professional painters, like really good masterful painters, don't use any medium. They like the consistency of the paint. They might use a little bit of paint thinner, like I'm using Gamsol. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is your brushes. Now, a big reason why this didn't work was because I just used a watercolor brush. You really want to make sure you're using oil painting brushes. You don't want to be using acrylic brushes or watercolor brushes. There is a big difference. Oil painting brushes are just going to be stronger. They're going to be able to hold more paint on the brush. So let's try this again. All right, so I got another little blue sky patch here, but this time using a brush from my brush set from Rosemary & Co. It's just number 2. Ivory synthetic brush. You don't have to use my brush set. If you want my brush set, it's my beginner's brush set. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get that. Let's just take same color, just some brown or burnt sienna. Get a touch of paint thinner just to get it moving. A little bit of ivory black. Now, it worked a little bit better, but there's still something wrong, which is what I'm going to talk about next. But you can see, just having a brush that can actually hold enough paint, it's definitely going to be better. It's not going to be as good as you want it, which is what I'm going to talk about next. What I'm going to talk about next is working dark to light, meaning if I was to paint this, say at a scene, and I had like a leafless tree, which a lot of people struggle to paint, I would start with the dark, meaning I would put in my tree first. And then I would come back, just getting just a bigger brush because I'm covering a bigger area. Then I'd get my light and paint up to that dark. But now another way you can do it is if you did want to start with the light, and I do this a lot because I'll be painting the sky and there'll be, you know, a tree or something coming up in the sky, is I will just leave an empty space. So if I had like a tree, like branch, kind of went like that or something, I would just leave that empty space there, knowing that I could come back and just fill that in. And the thing is it really also depends on the size of the shape that you're doing. You know, with really small shapes or really small marks, you don't have to worry about this as much. Like say, if I did have some branches coming off here, since they're so small, maybe I'm going to be able to paint over that paint and make like little branches if I wanted to coming off. But this is going to be something that just the more you paint, you're going to get a better feel for it, and you're going to get better instincts on when to paint over something or when to paint around it, when to leave an open space for something. A perfect example is this LA Cowboy painting that I did. And you can see this palm tree that's kind of up into the sky. I made sure to leave that space open and then block it in with the dark and paint the sky in around it. And also you can see like a lot of the street and the trees and the houses are in shadow, but I blocked it all out with just one dark, knowing I was going to be able to stack lights on top of it. Now you can also a lot of times leave a space open for a light too. It doesn't have to be just a dark. Like when I did this margarita painting, I had this really bright ribbon coming down the side of the bottle, and I made sure not to put a dark there just because I knew it was going to be so bright, and I just wanted to make life easier on myself. So I didn't put a dark there. I just kept the canvas blank, and it allowed me to get it really, really bright a lot easier. It's just going to be a lot easier to build lighter paint on top of darker paint. Let me kind of show you what I mean. If I had like a really light area and I was like, you know what? I need to make that darker. I need to get a certain area of that a little bit darker. It's going to take, see how that just goes right into that light paint? It's going to take a lot of paint to fight that light paint underneath. Whereas if I did the opposite, let me just take some darks. This is why a lot of painters will start with their darks. You've probably seen a lot of oil painters do that. They'll get their darks in. So let's just say, let's do the same thing. But now we want to build it lighter. It's going to be easier to build to that. I mean, you're still going to have some pushback, which is why I probably wouldn't. Realistically, I'd kind of stop the brown where I want it to be yellow, but even so, like, I feel like I'm being able to cover that up pretty well. So always remember that, dark to light. That's why a lot of times in my portraits, you'll see me when I block out the light side of the face, I will always start with what I say is the darkest light, so then I can build lighter shapes on top of that. All right, now if you're watching this and you're like, Chris, I struggle with mixing colors. I see the colors you're using in your palette and I don't know how to do that. I've actually made a free color coaching guide where I show you how I mix up any color using the primaries and white and kind of give you a solid foundation to mix color. That way you don't have to think about it as much. If you want to check that out, there's a link to it in the description of this video. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is working thin to thick. I always say at the start of your painting, think about pushing the paint, whereas at the end, you're applying the paint like a sticker. What I mean is, like, let's say I was painting a portrait. It's going to mix up a flesh tone real quick here. I'm just going to put this down here. I'm going to try and do a sphere. Just make this a little bit darker. But also, I want to kind of point this out to you. Look at my palette. Look at the size of my pools of paint. Like, look how big this is. Like, I'll put my hand for reference. Like, a lot of times I'll see students' palettes, they'll be like mixing like this. And yeah, like when it comes time to smaller details later in the paint, you're gonna want those little piles. Like, you don't need to mix up a lot of paint. But like if I was blocking out an entire side of the face, like I'm mixing a big palette and I'm loading up a good amount of paint on my brush. But I am like kind of spreading it out. You know, I'm not caking it on, I'm pushing it in. And that is another thing that I do want to talk about. I know I'm kind of talking about multiple things right now. I'm talking about paint thickness, working thin to thick. I'm talking about the amount of paint. I'm also talking about brush pressure. Like you'll see, especially when I go to put on the lights, the pressure I put on my brush. So let's just say that is like the light side of a face. It's lighter, but it's not super light. And if you notice, I just added some white. I'm not going to put any more paint thinner in it because I want it to get thicker. There was like a little bit of paint there in here, but I'm increasing the amount of paint without increasing this. So the paint is just naturally going to be thicker. And look how much my bristles are bending. I'm not like stabbing the canvas, but I'm getting a really good amount of pressure to put that paint on. This shape is pretty small, but like if I was working like an entire face, I'd probably hold my brush like this and I'd be moving it pretty well. And this brings me to another point that I feel like a lot of students overlook, which is how well their painting surface is locked down. If you have an easel and there's like a top piece that slides down, you really want that. I remember I was talking to a student and they showed me their setup and I was like, how do you paint like that? Like, doesn't your canvas move all around? They're like, no. I'm like, well, you're probably not, you know, using as much brush pressure as you should. And so just really make sure it's locked down. If you have to get these are, you know, cheap. You can get them on Amazon or Home Depot. Like I use these all the time for everything. Even with this is actually a plein air easel. It's a Strata Mark II. I mainly use it just for tutorials because there's no things kind of getting in the way of the painting. But a lot of times I'll still have to like clamp it down just so it can really hold steady. But you can see now if I want to go even lighter, like say if I was doing like the bright highlights like on a cheek or something, I can go even lighter. Because this paint, you might not be able to fully tell in the video here, but technically like this paint is thinner, that paint's a little thicker, and that's the thickest. And I always say like at the end, think about applying the paint. Like you're laying down a mark and leaving it there. Before you saw me fill out that whole sphere, I was like, you know, putting my brush on the canvas and like moving around without taking it off. I was pushing the paint, whereas now I'm like, apply the paint like that. So that's going to help you out a lot. And again, all the stuff I'm talking about, even if it is making sense to you, it is going to take some practice. It's going to take some time to get used to, you know, like if I was teaching you how to shoot a basketball, like you could pay attention and see what I'm doing. Like, okay, that makes sense. But like you have to go out there and actually do it a bunch of times for it to work and for it to stick. All right, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully this makes oil painting less intimidating and solves a lot of your problems. Like I know I had this problem a lot when I first started. Like I just did not get the paint to do what I wanted to do. And I'd see other oil painters like painting with really thick paint. It looks so cool. I'm like, how do they get it to do that? So again, try these things I suggested. I feel like they should help. That's it for me. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.